It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. It's the Charlie Block. Today's date is October 28th. Charlie Block means the C Block, and that's the one we start right around 7:40, but running late this morning. Okay, John, technical test, okay?
Okay.
John is not in the same studio as me. We are distanced by many miles apart, and there's an issue that I have where John can't hear some of the things I do, okay? I'm going to press a button here. I just pressed the button. Do you hear me less or more now?
I hear you at like a deaf person could hear that. It's blowing my eardrums out.
Okay. Can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
Can you turn down the volume so that this sounds normal?
Yeah. Okay. Say a few more words.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
5,
it's
4.
beautiful, Brad.
Okay. Now here's the other thing. I'm gonna do something else here too. I'm gonna go back to Casey. Tell me if you hear Casey at a decent level. Okay.
I'm Casey Kasem.
Okay. Did you hear me?
Oh, it's perfect, Brad.
Okay. Now one more test. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. We're doing this. I'll do this right here. Okay. Hold on a minute. Let me play this.
On KTLA back in the day. Anyway, Christy and Joe Horton, 9th anniversary, and Hugh Janus turning 10.
Okay, did you hear that at a normal level as well, too?
Yeah, I heard that perfectly.
Okay, so this is the new normal. So what you're going to do is everything should be, and one more time, I'm going to make one little final tweak. I'm going to just do this, okay, with Casey. One more time.
We're on our way to the #1.
So you hear that at a normal level, correct?
It sounds great. And also, Brad, you sound much more clear.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down. So this is the new normal. So in other words, you can hear everything when I do an interview. And you know what? Come on, you bear with me one more minute.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because I'm trying to get this all straightened out for you because I know it's been a problem. We've had some issues with this for. And let me just do one more thing. Okay, let me do this. Is this going to work? No, it's not. I can't test that. Okay, one more time. Let me do this and try to do this, and I can't get the phone to work. Okay, so anyway, we'll deal with that. Okay, so everything you hear sounds okay now, correct?
Yeah, it sounds great, and you can hear me the same.
Yes, you're the same. Okay. How do I put this? This is a weird question for you, John. I have a friend that I've known for quite some time. A lady friend, a female friend that I know. And she has a boyfriend. She's been gone off for a while. And because of the fact that I am friends with her on Facebook, but I'm not friends with her boyfriend. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I'm following you.
But yet, in the infinite wisdom of the algorithms of Facebook, he shows up as one of the people I may want to have as friends. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I'm following you.
And he also shows up, his activity shows up on Facebook. And what's sort of interesting about this is every single day, he is the #1 guy that shows up on my feed of my friends or people I may know, not necessarily my people I may know, how many, and there's a thing, you don't do Facebook essentially, but it shows like you go to this one page and it shows all these people, how many comments they've made, how many posts they've made, and he's always a 9-pluser. Does that make any sense to you, John?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So he's prolific. It sounds like he spends a lot of time on Facebook.
Yes, and shall we say too much time on Facebook, okay?
But according to you, is he retired?
No, he's not. And
okay, that's strange.
Here's the interesting thing, okay? Hold on a minute. Let me if I can find it. You know what?
So I'm tracking with you so far. You don't know him and you're not friends, but Facebook keeps telling you, hey, because you're friends with so-and-so lady, I bet you'll be interested in what this guy has to say.
Yes. Every single day, he has things about multiple posts, and all he does is he just essentially he's essentially he's sharing other people's posts, and they're all wingbat Democrat liberal wingbats. And
okay, I'm following you.
Over the last few days, he's putting all these things, and his comment is, every time he puts something up, it's F Trump, F this, F the Republicans, F this, F this, F this, F this. And I'm thinking to myself, do I say anything to my friend about the fact that this is her boyfriend, and I think he's sort of making a huge mistake by doing this on Facebook?
Well, let me ask you. So first of all, my gut instinct, Brad, is to say no. And because I'm so naive about Facebook, or I should say ignorant about Facebook, isn't there an option where you can first of all, to choose to not see his activity anymore?
Well, the crazy thing about that
the answer is yes, but you're choosing to not take that
no.
step. Okay.
The interesting part of this is I don't know to answer that question. I know there's a thing with if I have a friend, because I have one friend who is like constantly promoting his business, and it's to the point where like so many times a day I'm going,
it's too much. Yeah,
It's
and
just-
you can choose to not see that notification, right?
I can go in and I can essentially snooze him for a month. I can essentially say, okay, I don't want
Yeah,
to see
I don't want to see that anymore.
I don't want
And
to see
so
these for a month.
I interrupted myself here, Brad. So I think there's two things. There's the fact that you probably could take an affirmative action, pardon the expression, and then not see this gentleman's updates anymore. Secondly, no, you don't say anything to your friend because she's a grown woman, and whether or not she's on Facebook, she may agree with him, she may not agree with him. It's really not your point to nitpick what another man is doing on social media. If you don't like it, find a way to avoid it.
But I think what it does is it makes her look bad. It's guilt by
To who?
Well, because of the fact that you know, haven't you ever known anybody, like, let's say you know a married
I
couple.
have. I get your point, and I'm going to cut you short there, Brad. So I get your point. What you're saying is this guy who she's in a relationship with, people could see this guy's post, see that he's in a relationship with her, and hold it against her that he holds these views.
Exactly, because
Okay, and first of all, why is that your concern? You think that she's not an adult? She can't make that decision herself?
I care about people, and I think sometimes
You care to meddle in her life? is what
No,
you're
no,
saying?
no, John. Haven't you ever had a friend of yours, and this has happened a couple times with me, and I will, I don't know if I should ever tell this story, but I interrupted a suicide once, okay? And I've never talked to this before, have I? You always know what I talk about, right?
No, you haven't talked about this.
Okay, I interrupted a suicide, literally, and I won't go into too much detail because people might figure out who it might be. This has been a long time ago, like maybe 3 decades ago, okay? A guy that I knew was in the radio business, had some rough times. First off, his wife left him. Then he lost his job. He had a really good job in the radio business, union gig, and it disappeared. And then his wife left him because of the fact that he didn't have the union gig anymore, and things were starting to go sideways on him. And him and I met once a week. And matter of fact, it's sort of interesting because of the fact that I'm sort of sad about this, because we went to Fridays. This is before I was married, a long time ago. And we met at Fridays every Wednesday. Every Wednesday night was our night to get together. And we'd be there like 8 o'clock, and we'd sit there. And it was sort of crazy because we do the same thing every Wednesday. We'd order a big old basket of onion rings, and we'd drink iced tea. And we'd sit there and we'd drink iced tea, and we'd talk back and forth. And he was really hurting, okay? And I was trying to do what I could for the guy, but it was to the point where one night he didn't show up. The bizarre part of it is he lived very close to where the Fridays was, actually right behind it. I went to his apartment. His car was there. I go upstairs where he lived. The door's open. I walk in. I can see him sitting at the couch. His couch was like the back of the couch was toward the door. I see him sitting at the couch, and I said, I won't mention his name because people might figure out who it was. And he didn't turn around. I went inside. I walked around the side of the couch. I realized he's got a gun in his mouth, and he's got his finger on the trigger. And I'm thinking to myself, OS, you know what that means? What the hell do I do? So, and it was a revolver. So very carefully, I slowly walked over to him, taking very slow steps. And it was weird because he wasn't looking at me. He was looking straight ahead. And I walked over and I stuck the web of my hand, like where your thumb and your forefinger go.
Yeah.
I stuck that between the hammer of the gun, if you know what I'm talking about, was revolver. And so in other words, if he would have pulled the trigger, the hammer would have not hit the firing pin and would have caught the web of my hand. Does that make sense?
I get it, yeah.
So I put my hand in there and I looked at him. I go, once again, name, I'm going to say it. give me the damn gun. And at first he fought me, and then I pulled the gun away from him, okay? And then he broke down, okay? I got myself involved with him. Maybe I saved his life. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. It was interesting because the gun was loaded. And to the point where it started a bizarre story is that I took the gun, and probably about 5 or 6 years later, he left the St. Louis area, and he called me up one night, and he said, I want my gun back. And I go, I don't know if I'm going to give it to you or not. And he says, it was my grandfather's. He gave it to me before he died. I want my gun back. And I go, make me a promise that you'll never do what you were going to do again. And he did. So, was I wrong getting involved in his life?
No, you did the right thing, obviously, Brad, and that should be something that you're proud of. I don't think that meddling in your friend's relationship because you disagree with her boyfriend's Facebook posts is exactly the same thing.
But I think it makes her look bad.
To who?
The general public, the people that...
And first of all, do you think that this woman, you know her, I don't, do you think she cares what the quote-unquote general public thinks about her boyfriend's Facebook posts?
All I can say is I won't give away her job, but she has a job that could very easily be impacted by this. And matter of fact, it's sort of interesting because of the fact that we talked earlier about the Winsome Sears thing. There was a guy that showed up at one of her campaign events and was yelling, "Go back to Jamaica," or "Go back to Haiti," and I think she's actually from Jamaica. And she, I don't know if she personally or somebody in the committee, the Republican committee tried to file harassment charges against him because this guy's shown up before and he's yelling very loud during speeches and things like that. But the interesting part of the story was the police department said they had no action to take against him, but he got fired from his job because he was working for a defense contractor. Remember, this is Virginia, a lot of defense contractors in that area. And essentially the defense contractor came out and said, we do not condone this type of activity. And this dude that I'm talking about has...
And it wasn't the dude's girlfriend posting on Facebook. So you're talking about a man in public berating with racial overtones a candidate for office. It's not like his girlfriend was on Facebook saying political things. Do you see the difference, Brad?
John, if you had, let's say you have a friend of yours, let's say you have a friend of yours, a dude who's going out with a gal, and
the girl starts posting crazy stuff.
Right.
I assume that my friend is a grown man, and if he's a grown man, I think he can make that decision himself. I don't think it's my place to tell him, hey, your girl's out of pocket. Or to use an overdone phrase from 5 years ago, come get your girl, come get your man. No, I don't think it's your place at all. Now, here's what I think you should do, Brad. For the sake of good radio, I think you should reach out to your friend, and I think you should meddle in her love life. I think the man will say, hey, here's a guy who I could assume is a simp. I don't think you're a simp, Brad. But the guy will probably be like, a guy is simping and getting in my girlfriend's ear. I think I have a few things to say to him.
But
or passive aggressively, he might even begin posting more. And why is it your business? I know she's your friend. Do you think she can't make her own decisions?
But take the boyfriend-girlfriend component out of it. Let's say it's two dudes, and let's say you know a guy. Let's say you have friends, you have a bunch of guys, drinking buddies or whatever, and you have one guy in the group that just starts to go off the rails and put crap on Facebook and say crazy stuff.
I would talk to him directly, and which is different than going to a guy's girlfriend and being like, I know you love him probably, but I just want you to know that he's posting a lot of crazy stuff. And it's called, Brad, in the internet world, it's called concern trolling. And it's when you disagree with somebody and then you couch it as I'm just concerned for you. I'm just concerned for you.
Okay, but you
might as well just bring her flowers, Brad.
Let me give you one other wrinkle of the situation. Let's say
I do.
Let's say I've never met...
You used to be in a relationship with her.
No. Let's say I never met this guy, but one day I recognized him and I saw him walking into a bank and he was pulling a gun out of his pocket. And
that's the same thing as a wacky Facebook post.
And I went up to him and say, dude, you don't want to do this. It's not going to end well.
A great man in the last segment started talking for the 900th time on the show about incrementalism and making one statement and then going down a slippery slope. So if a wacky Trump post is the same thing as walking in with a gun into a bank, by all means, Brad. And again, for the sake of good radio, I think today you should reach out to your friend and you should C-block this guy. And you should say, I just want you to know he's posting some stuff and I'm just so concerned with you. Can I bring you ice cream and flowers and sit on the couch and you can cry on my shoulder?
No, that's not.
I think you should do that, Brad. I think that would be a good service.
Look, I've had this happen before with friends of mine that I've seen this on you know, one in.
Then you should intervene, Brad. You clearly, by the way, you clearly want to intervene. You knew what I was going to say before we had this conversation. And I do appreciate you. Again, the point of these conversations is not to influence you because it won't influence you and you're going to do what you want to do anyway. But people will hear this on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube and say, yes, you know, I was thinking in meddling in my friend's relationship. But then after hearing John, I don't want to be the guy that meddles in my friend's relationship.
Okay, John, we're over. One more minute. Will you give me one more minute here? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Let's take it to the next level. Let's say if it's a married couple, and let's say you know that the dude, or let's say in some cases we have this. I told you the story about when I worked for the police department. I had several of the officers talk about they knew men. Matter of fact, one of the guys that worked on the force. The rumor was
it's not. The answer is it's not your business. And it depends on your relationship with that person, Brad. And I think that Facebook, I think you're making an allegory between Facebook and real life situations. You're doing a lot of what ifs. And I'll just repeat, because we're over time, you should go to your friend. You should meddle in her relationship. And you should choose to have a conversation with her about another grown man's Facebook post. I think it's a good decision.
So
and I love to see how this turns out.
But your point being is that you don't is your point being don't care about stuff like that?
Yeah, of course, Brad. And you know what? You began either an A and B block by talking about the fact that you do bring a lot of stress on yourself because you do care too much about things, Brad. And you know what? Frankly, I exacerbate that and I chase you about minuscule things and I nitpick things. And you know what? It's probably important for me to dial it back a little bit because you do worry about stuff and internalize stuff that you shouldn't worry about. And I exacerbate that. And I need to change my behavior on that.
I can't turn that off because ultimately, people like, you see things happen. You see videos online of somebody walking down the street and all of a sudden they're having a heart attack. I mean, there's real videos, not, fake videos, not AI stuff, but real videos, camera videos, like some storefront or something like that. Some dude's walking down the street and he falls over and everybody just walks by. But there's usually
that's what I would do.
You really would? You just walk by?
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about 911. Now, Brad, if it was a chick, I know it's a real video, but if it was a chick in a sombrero that had at least full C cups, I would listen to the whole 8 seconds of the clip.
Now you're just making fun of me.
No, I'm praising you, Brad.
No, I see. I just like, sometimes you and I
want to talk. Let me interrupt you. You want to talk to your friend, Brad. And so I think there's no harm in having the conversation with her. And she just know that if you have that conversation with her, she may choose to go to her boyfriend and say, I'm not going to say who, but had Hildebrand said that, you're posting wacky stuff and he's concerned about me.
John, it's interesting. I've never told you this before. You know what one of the most interesting comments I get about you on this show about you is that people, because I give my phone number out all the time, 314-280-8880. One of the most
805, what do they say?
One of the most interesting comments I get about you is the fact that you have never dialed 911.
Yeah, thank you, Brad.
I
know. Hopefully I'll keep that streak up my whole life, right? Hopefully I'll be walking by a storefront and a guy's going to have a heart attack. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to laugh at him and say, all those years of eating onion rings and all those years of eating ice cream, this is what you get. Get out of my way.
I had onion rings and ice cream last night, so I guess I'm doomed. I guess it's 86 for Brad, right? 86
Brad,
for Brad.
I'm going to have a heart attack. It's trash pickup day, and if I don't get the trash out, I'm going to have a heart attack.
John, talk to you tomorrow.